The first year was a bit of a struggle, and we probably were all happy that we got a mid-table finish and, you know, kept away from the relegation battle. And then we built on things over the next couple of years, didn't we? And we got to that magical day of the Carling Cup final. And listen, all three of you have done great things away from the borough, but so I'm really interested to know where does that stand when you think back over your careers? Where does that magical day in Cardiff stand for you? What does it mean to you personally? Steve?
I think the actual breakthrough, I think you always have to, whatever you're doing in your career, you've got certain humps you need to get over to progress to the next stage. And I needed to win something to get over the hump, to be accepted as a number one, coming from a number two at Derby, Manchester United and England. So for me, it was the actual breakthrough and a lot of hard work over the 3 years to assemble that team together. You're absolutely right. The first year was a nightmare, as Harry would say. 2 banks of 4, Stevie, 2 banks of 4, get a clean sheet and Alan Boksic will score. That was the motto in the first year. The second year we added a little bit more flair, became more open, won more games. But then I think the third year we really developed a good team. We were a cup team. We weren't a league team. We were a cup team. We could beat anybody on our day. And we focused on the cups, which Steve wanted. That was it. The first thing he said to me, you've got to win a cup. Got to win a cup. And so that was stay in the league, but win a cup. So that was always the goal. And so we've really built quite a flamboyant cup team. You know, we brought Juninho back, got injured, came back, played in the final. You know, Mendieta, Bolo. You know, I watched the game the other day. Joseph Job we had up front. You know, we had a great team. I watched the game actually, and it was first half. God, we got absolutely battered. And although we were 2-0 up, I don't know how we were 2-0 up. And then the second half, I watched them. We were very comfortable, and I don't know why I was panicking at the time. We looked as if we were going to win easy, but it was, for me personally, the breakthrough that, you know, kind of convinced myself and everybody else that, yeah, okay, can go from a number 2 to a number 1.
Brilliant. But Harry, what about you? Where does it fit? Was it? I believe it was your first trophy success at that time.
Yeah, yes, it was. I've been to a few finals, but lost them, and I got promoted a few times. I'd never won any silverware. So my eye was the highlight of my time in football, and it was fantastic. And I think, as you started with, about the team that we had with Bill and Brownlee and Paul and the gaffer and myself, it was a climax to the work that we'd all put in. And going back to Frank and Poggy, I mean, I wouldn't have done all that without Bill. I mean, if I'd have known Bill when I was a player, I'd have been worth 13 grand instead of 15 grand when I was a player. So Bill helped me a lot with the mental side of it, with Frank and with Poggy. And I remember we had a meeting on the Sunday before the game, and we were all a bit nonplussed about this meeting Sunday morning. But Steve was adamant to get it all organised, get it started. So we're all in the gaffer's office, sat around this table, and we're all looking a bit glum. And Stevie said, "Well, you know, I want to do this." Oh, all right, come on, let's get on with it. And he was a bit downy. And then I said, "What do you do? Where do you go for Sunday dinner then?" And Bill was saying to us, and I said, "Well, of course, I like the one just near the airport, you know." I said, "I'll tell you what, the nicest place near the airport, you know, to put for Sunday dinner is the Bull's Head." He said, "The Bull's Head? Where's that?" I went, "About a yard from its tail." Well, everyone. After that, it just broke. I hadn't planned it. It was an off the cuffs thing.
And to be fair, Dave, that was the strength of Harry in terms of I'm there. I think we just got beat by Newcastle. Yeah. I mean, you know, to be fair, the staff won the game in Cardiff, and they won it on that Sunday, despite me bringing them in and not liking it. We won it on the Sunday because we got beat by Newcastle, the day before. And Bill said before the game, if we lose this whatever, don't let it affect the final. And normally I'd go absolutely, not just the staffing, but all the players would be in. But anyway, the staff came in and everything like that. But I wanted to do so much work in the week that the staff were going, no, you can't do that, Steve. No, you can't do that, Steve. No, you can't do. I wanted to do so much. We had a tennis tournament in the middle of the week. I said, a tennis tournament? Are you crazy? And they were just trying to relax me. It wasn't about the players. It wasn't about any. It was just relaxing me for this big game coming up. And they really cruised the week. And they let me have the Tuesday where I went a little bit mad in preparation. But the Wednesday, I think me and Bill, we won the tennis tournament. So we were happy with that. Thursday, Friday, leading up to the final Saturday, the video. The staff were incredible in terms of managing me and managing the team and the preparations for that big Sunday game.
Bill, what's your memory of that, the final?
Well, I think the original question, I've got two highlights in my career. I won a gold medal in the Commonwealth Games as coached the England basketball team. And then I won a cup medal, Carlsberg Cup medal, as a member of the football staff. And to achieve that level of success in two different sports was quite something for me. To take what I'd learned in basketball and bring it over to football. I think my major delight with the Carlsberg was I was happy for the town. I was happy for Steve Gibson. I certainly was. I knew how much it meant to the town. And those 38,000 that came to see, it was lovely that they could celebrate. But I was personally very happy for Steve McClaren because I'd known him since he was under 17 youth coach at Oxford. And I'd watched this young coach struggle to learn, improve, battle through the bad times, an awful lot of courage, and keep going. And when we went to Boro, we lost. He left Manchester United to go to Boro. That was quite something. And then we lost the first 4 games, and it was a disaster. And then we clawed it back. And I'd watched this young man develop into a great coach manager. And so I was very pleased for Steve because, as he said, he'd made his mark on football. He'd done something I think he was the last English coach, something to win a cup. I mean, he made his mark. And after that, he'd changed because he had something in his locker. He had something that said, I am credible as a coach. And his self-confidence as a coach manager improved enormously.
Fantastic, yeah. I think for the fans, you touched on it there, Bill. It was, the one that I know that Steve, you often say to us, people stop you in the street when you're wandering along Yarm High Street and they'll stop and tell you, thanks for the greatest day of my life. And I think that goes for a lot of Boro fans that still would thank all of you for that. We obviously that meant getting into Europe, winning the Carling Cup. That was a thing in itself, but it also meant getting into Europe, and that started a whole adventure in itself too. The first year went well, didn't it? And until we almost ran out of players when it came to the Sporting Lisbon game, I seem to recall. But then we also, by then, you decided to, and I'm going to look at you now, Steve, I think, you decided to part with a certain, the golden boy of the modern era for Boro fans, Juninho, who'd come back, helped us win the Carling Cup, but you decided it wasn't right to take him, he wasn't the right man to take us forward into Europe. That must have been a tough decision. Did you still look back and think, yeah, but it was the right one?
Absolutely. It's decision. I've had a few, but that was, the toughest. Bringing him back. I remember speaking to him at the World Cup, and I think we just got knocked out by Brazil, and I pulled him behind the team coach, and I remember I said, "Do you want to come back to the Boro?" I said, "Yeah, because I think we've got a team good enough to win a cup, and you wanted to do that." And he said, "Yeah, I do." And so we got the wheels in motion, and from that conversation, we got him back. Got injured the first week. Had to wait another 7 months for him to come back from a cruciate injury. He did that. He did ever so. I've got to say, I remember him playing at Leeds, one of his first comeback games. 20,000. Remember in his first reserve game, giving him a run out. 20,000 at the Riverside. That's how much of a pull he was with the fans. Far more popular than myself or any of the staff were. And he was brilliant in that Leeds game. And he really came back from the injury well. But I just felt there was something missing from his game. And I've watched now back the cup finals. First time I've watched it since it happened over 15 years ago. First time I've watched it. And there was just something. There was just something. And I knew and I wanted to get Boro into Europe because Harry and Bill will say, them European nights, them European trips are absolutely fantastic. I experienced them at Manchester United, experienced them at Boro, and they are incredible nights. But it takes something different to win in Europe and the squad and everything. And I just felt we needed to go a different way. And although we were very good defensively, we didn't score many goals. And I just said to Steve, look, we're in Europe, we've won a cup. And as Bill rightly says, give me the confidence and the kind of power to say, this is what we need to go on and be successful in Europe as well as domestically. And it was important that we got Viduka. It was important that we got Hasselbaink, Yakubu, because we had goals then in the team. We were a threat. Whereas before we were a little bit, not boring, but, you know, we didn't score enough goals. And Juninho wasn't going to score the goals for us. Joseph Job was not going to score the goals for us in Europe. And we needed top players. And Viduka and Hasselbaink were the two. You know, there's so many stories we've got about. They were the best out there at that time. To get them, Steve, was absolutely incredible that he went forward, smashed the budget, and we brought them in. But they changed the team completely, the dynamics, and we became much more of a threat, especially in Europe when we played Viduka and Hasselbaink up front. They were unplayable at times, and especially in that last season where we went to the final. Viduka for 4 or 5 months was incredible, unplayable. I just ran out of steam in the damn final. That was all.
It shows how much we were spoilt for choice when often Yakubu couldn't get a game in Europe, could he? So that, you know, it's incredible that a player of his quality was often, you were able to leave him on the bench.
I tell you something, and I say to every coach and Sid, got to, you know, two top strikers. Okay, you can keep them relatively happy. 3 top strikers. I never slept. For 2 seasons, I never slept at night, and especially Friday when I had to pick the team for Saturday. Sometimes I'd leave 1 out, sometimes I'd leave 2. And if you ever sat across Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink and tell him that he's not playing on Saturday, it is not pleasant. Them eyes bear into you, and the silence, it is not pleasant. But Steve wanted Yakubu, and he wanted him for the future, which is quite right. But what a headache that was. But what firepower we had to really go into Europe.
I know. Well, I'm going to look to you now, Bill, because the irony of it was, as Steve's outlined there, 3 absolutely world-class strikers, but the man who becomes the hero of the quarter-final and the semi-final and is now got a massive image on the outside of the Riverside Stadium for his heroics on that semi-final night, a certain Massimo Maccarone.
That was his night. Massimo had great strengths, great weaknesses. And that was a night when we saw his greats. I still think that was one of the most significant moments in Boro history. We were 1-0 down from the away leg in Bucharest. We were 2-0 down on the night. We were 3-0 down. Gareth Southgate came off with an injury. He'd started with the same injury, but he couldn't keep going. 20 minutes into the game, Gareth came off. And it was a big moment for Steve, a big substitution. We were 3-0 down. We needed to score 4. And there was a quick chat with Steve Round and Harry, and then he went for Massimo. And Massimo came on, and some players can affect the mood of a crowd. And the crowd had gone quiet on those 20 minutes. The crowd was stunned. The Middlesbrough crowd feel everything so keenly. They're an emotional crowd. And they'd come for a celebration, and they'd had a tragedy. 3-0 down after 20 minutes. And then Massimo came on, and if you remember, as he comes on the field, he turns to the crowd and waves and claps. And the crowd responded magnificently. And then just before half-time, he gets the key goal to send us in at half-time. We think we can do it. Steaua Bucharest are now not sure. And the psychology of the game switched during that half-time. And then the rest is Boro history.
It certainly is. There was a vote recently on, I think it was on Twitter, on the greatest players of the Riverside era. And I think Massimo, I think I'm right in saying, came 15th greatest player, ahead of players that played hundreds and were real successes. But Massimo is a Boro legend because really it boils down to one-headed goal, wasn't it?
One-headed goal.
What a header, mind.
Well, two, because he scored in the quarter-final and the final, didn't he?
Yeah.
The semi-final, quarter-final, semi-final.
Yeah.
I've got to say, and Harry will probably say more on that. I did look at the game again, and Harry, the back four, when Southgate went off after 20 minutes, now this is a semi-final of the UEFA Cup, we had Brad Jones in goal, Parnaby right back, Riggett, Frank centre-back, and Andrew Taylor left back.
God help us.
Now to keep Bucharest out with that back five for 70 minutes.
Brilliant.
It just shows them Thursday afternoons, Harry used to do with the defenders, they all benefited. And in the end, small details and the process get you results. And I look back at that. How the hell did we get through with that back five? No experience at all. It was an incredible night. Harry.
Come on, Harry. What's your tales here?
Well, it's nice to see this. With those young players, on a Thursday afternoon, I used to take them to the playground. Never mind doing it. But fair play today. Parnaby brought some lovely, some fantastic talent through, and it was. And full credit to Steve and Bill. What they did, they manoeuvred the squad, added to, took away. And I'll always go for the backbone players. That's how I was built. We had a great goalkeeper, Swartzy, great goalkeeper. Two fantastic centre-backs in Hugo and Gates. A great midfield player, not a great midfield player, but a workman-like solid midfield player, 7 out of 10, George Boateng, and a fantastic centre-forward in Mark Viduka, I thought was absolutely brilliant. But having those key stock players, what they did, they could add Juninhos, they could add Yakubus, they could add Stuart Down and bring them in. We could bring James Morrison in because the backbone players were there and they always made consistent. You could filter around the other ones, and that brilliant. And the ones that 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 5, 4 out of 10, you could cope with that then, and that's the amalgamation of building a squad. And Steve did that brilliantly with a great deal of Bill's help, I must admit.
Fantastic. I mean, certainly memories that will never leave any of the Boro fans. That's for absolute sure. We won't mention what happened in the final because we could be there doing the post-mortem on that one for quite a while as well, couldn't we? But
let me just mention that, Dave.
Go on, Bill.
There is a key point about that final, and if you remember, we'd gone in the quarter-final and the semi-final through two immense emotional highs.
Yeah.
Two immense emotional highs. To come back from 3-0 in the semi-final at home and win 4-3. And then a week or so later, to be in Holland facing a team that had only played 24 games that season. We'd played about 60. It was too much. It was just a game too far. And it's a very common thing in sport. It's not just us. The England World Rugby team, rugby union team in the World Cup, went a game too far. They were magnificent against New Zealand in the semi-final, but the emotional high left them drained, and they had nothing for South Africa. So I think that's a point worth making. The team was capable of winning the trophy, but we ran out of games. It was a game too far.
Good analogy. Yeah, I like that, Bill, and I'm sure the fans will remember that. And on another day, it certainly wasn't a 4-0, was it? And it was, I think, it was 1-0 with 10 minutes left. So
yeah,
things could have been different. Bill, I'm going to have to ask you about one little UEFA Cup memory because I was looking through at the Carling Cup and the UEFA Cup books in preparing for this interview, and I saw a certain image of Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink celebrating a goal out in Grazza, and he was celebrating it doing this and being chased by the rest of the team, also apparently flying like birds. And I think this relates to a little talk you'd done. Come on, let us in on that one.
Well, Steve often asked me to do the team talks. And one of my themes was the word team. What does a team mean? And I showed the boys on one occasion, and more than one occasion, a very short film. You can get it on YouTube. It's magnificent. It's about the best team in the world. And that's the team of geese. Because flying together, they do unbelievable feats of physical endurance. And they support each other. They fly in technical formation, tactical formation to create efficiency and effectiveness. There were many lessons from the film Geese that I could give the players. And now, somehow or other, that stuck in their mind. They said, Bill wants it to be more like geese. And so Jimmy, good old Jimmy, he was lovely. Jimmy and the boys went into the geese formation.
One of the more memorable goal celebrations.
Yes, it was wonderful. I mean, it was just so funny. Very good mood, and we had a very good mood and morale in the team. Very good spirit.
Fantastic.